Hi guys, it's Ben from Terra Space Station. How's everyone doing? This is Soukyugurentai on the Japanese Sega Saturn. It's one of the import shmups that my brother brought back from Tokyo. And I've been spending quite a bit of time with it this last week, and it's very, very good. I mean, it's not like the best in terms of the visuals or the graphics, but it controls really well, it's very challenging, and it's definitely in that bullet hell category, as you'll see. As we progress through, particularly some of the boss fights get really quite difficult. And it's one of those ones, you know, like all of these arcadey shmups, you basically need to practice, particularly practice the bosses, and get used to their attack patterns. Now, the mechanic in this game is that you hold the A button and you get this expanding reticule that appears, which you then use to target various enemies on screen. And I think mastering this attack is kind of the key to doing well in this game. And as you'll see, there are various effects that it can have. So it doesn't just lock on and then send a strong attack. It also has various subsidiary modes, so that you'll see there are a couple of missiles that chase the enemies after I do it. And there's also a little tracking gun there that appears briefly. There are actually 3 different playable characters. I think it's 3. And they basically range from being the more mobile but lighter attack guy to being really, really stodgy but with heavy attacks. And I quite like that opportunity to mix things up a little bit. I find that I prefer to play as this guy, which is the middle of the two, because he kind of has, I think he's a good balance. His main attack isn't all that powerful, but his I don't even know what to call these. The secondary attack is actually reasonably good, as you can see. So I'll stick with this guy. I've not actually tried the more stodgy guy much. Might be better, actually. But you don't want to completely sacrifice your mobility, because that just becomes unplayable then, doesn't it? I never really know where to go. When I place things like Gunbird, I used to quite like playing as the really lightweight character, because he was very small and he could kind of zip between enemy attacks. But you know, it's funny, each game you kind of just get a feel for how things play and decide what you want. That's the first boss down. He is pretty tough. I don't think any of the bosses on this game are easy, but I've played him before, so I've kind of learned what he does. So we're going on to the second stage now. You know, as I said, I don't think this game is up there with things like Layer Section maybe, or Radiant Silvergun in particular. Actually, it's probably better than Layer Section's graphics, but it's certainly not up there with like Radiant Silvergun's graphics. But I think it looks nice, and the thing that I think that's important is that the different stages do have quite different colour palettes, and you know, you don't want a game that looks bland all the way through with the exact same feeling. So yeah, really nice, very tough. The Sega Saturn is such a powerhouse for shooters, isn't it, really? Oh, yeah, these guys have these tracking laser attacks, which are pretty challenging. So I'm running this through the FrameMeister, which, as you can see, I don't know how it's going to look on the actual video. Oh, I've just lost a life. I think it looks really beautiful because I've popped some scan lines on, and I think that if you're going to play Sega Saturn shooters, you need to have scan lines on. It makes it feel like you're in the arcade kind of thing. And I think that it does a really good job of emulating a CRT, probably as best as you can get to it, really. Now these bits start to get really tough, and I think the key to this one is to actually not let up with your expand style attack, because once you start letting up, then bullets get through. Loads and loads of... Yeah, this one is one of those games where you have to collect lots of power-up icons to power up, rather than just collecting one that does the trick. And kind of like... oh, what's that game? That game on the... Oh, I've completely slipped my mind. I like that game on the Mega Drive that's really rare. Musha. Lots of the power-ups can spill past you if you're not careful. Right, we've got this big warship boss now. And his first attack is just these little red bits, which isn't too bad. I can handle that. Now these remind me of Layer Section. They're pretty much identical to attack in Layer Section, those. I think in Layer Section they're green, whereas in this they're red, which I guess counts as variety. This one really is about standing in the right place. Now this next attack where the thing starts spinning, not this one, we're okay for a minute. This one, bloody hell, that is horrible. Oh shit, I knew I was going to die. you've just got to really pay attention to where you are on screen to dodge that one. I find it quite tough. So you've got to try to take out the enemies quickly so that you actually can get a little corridor of normal space to dodge in. So yeah, when those ones come around... Oh god. Even got taken down by the slow attack now. I'm not doing too badly considering that I'm playing and talking though. Oh god. Oh dear. Right, there's a power-up thing which I could definitely do with. Let's collect as many of those as we can while dodging the weird lasers. Lasers! And I'm just waiting for the spinny things to reappear. The spinny things of doom. You know what, why don't we use a bomb? Because I haven't really used any yet. That's what the bomb looks like. Oh, the bomb took down the boss pretty much in one hit. I don't know what those statistics are because they're in Japanese, but I presume that I was 13% accurate, which is kind of bad, I guess. Anyway, I want you guys to let me know what you think about the CRT shader and how this looks on here. I don't really have space in my flat for a proper CRT. I could maybe get a small one somewhere. But I think that this solution looks... I think it looks good. I genuinely am happy with it. So until I've got my own big place with a games room and space to put a massive CRT, I'm probably going to stick with this. And I was looking on eBay briefly just to see how much the PVM and BVM monitors would cost, but they are expensive and they're big and stocky and heavy. So I think this is a thing that works for me. I probably will do an overview on the FrameMeister at some point, just to let you guys sort of know what it can do, what its features are, because there's a lot of elements to it that you might not necessarily know about unless you have a friend who's got one. To me, it was a no-brainer. Actually, I've always wanted the best picture I could get, and I know that it's expensive, but to me, it's kind of like a no-brainer. I think it's well worth spending the money, given how much you play these games and you collect all these games. It's kind of like the price of buying a new system, really. Which, if you think about it, this is kind of making you play things you already have a bit more. I think you get more money out of what you've bought, so that's probably how I justify the cost to myself. I think it, yeah, I really am glad that I bought it. There are some actually cheaper things out. What's it called? OSC something or other? Which seems to do quite a good job. I've been seeing a bit of that appearing on YouTube here and there, which might be the better option if you're on a budget. But this game just, man, it looks lovely. I want to practice it. Oh man, I don't know why I did that. I wasn't paying attention. I want to practice it and get good at it. Maybe beat it? I've not beaten... I don't think I've beaten very many of the shooters... Oh, this is where it just gets like absolute chaos. I don't think I've beaten very many of the shooters that I own on the Saturn. I've got through Gunbird on one of the lower settings. Oh god, man, this just gets so tough. Beaten Gunbird on one of the lower settings, and I think I got to the last boss or something on... oh god, I'm trying to focus so much. My brain's just going completely blank about thinking what games I'm talking about. Anyway, for the vast majority of them I haven't got very far at all. But they just require you to put a lot of time in. I can't see where the hell I am. It's zoomed in too much. And I think I missed the power up there. So this is a weird flamethrower arm, which you've got to try and stay the hell away from. Luckily it doesn't fire for too long, but I find it quite difficult to know when it's going to start firing. There might be some kind of indication that I'm missing. This one has got a lot of very difficult attacks to dodge. No doubt about it. When it starts with the little, these little bullets, they come in all kinds of terrible angles to dodge. And there's also some even nastier attacks that appear a bit later. Luckily you can... Yeah, I don't even know what killed me there. I didn't even see it. One of the flamethrower arms has gone down, but then again, so have I. Focus. Oh god, focus. Should I give it another bomb just to turn the tide in my favour here? Right, now both of those are down. It starts doing some pretty difficult attacks to dodge. This one. Yeah. I was doing so well up till now. So the problem is that charging up that big homing attack, then I start not focusing on the small attack, which is subduing all the little missiles. This attack, I don't know why, I find it hard to dodge. I just need to get that pattern down. I mean, I've only been playing it for a few days, so there's quite a lot of the patterns that I've not got used to yet. And each enemy has different firing modes that you just got to get used to. Anyway, that one, I've still got a whole credit left. The boss at the end of the next level, though, is just absolutely brutal. It's nothing short of brutal. Let's see how far we can get, though. These games always, they sort of, the difficulty isn't linear, I think it's exponential. It's not just slightly incremented from the stage beforehand, it's like several notches higher than the stage beforehand, particularly the bosses. The boss on this one I just haven't figured out. Well, that's the thing, that you have to get better at the early stages so that you've got more chances at the later stages to slowly get better. That's kind of how they work, these old school games, isn't it? This does also remind me of Layer Section. You know, the same kind of battlefields with the meteors and asteroids and things. I actually prefer this game, I think, to Layer Section. I don't know, it feels really good. It handles very well. And the gameplay, the actual mechanics are simple, but they're effective, they work. Yeah, so you get loads of these guys appearing on this one, and they're a real nuisance. I've no idea what the next level of power-up is after that, whether there's extra missiles and things that start coming out. I'm going to have to drop some bombs here, because it's just, you know, I can't handle that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that when you die, you go down a power level or something. All of these things I'm not 100% certain on. See, these are tough though. They don't go down very easily at all. And now there's a huge row of them. Just gotta try and stay alive. Luckily they do fire relatively slowly, but man, I don't think we're too far off the impenetrable boss of doom, he says, getting killed by bog standard enemies. There's just so many of them. Give me power-ups. I do seem to be scattering out a lot of missiles though from my shot now, so I think it has powered up quite a bit. Yeah, this thing, I don't even know what it is, but it's horrible. It looks like the Eldritch. Is it Eldritch or Eldar from Warhammer? So, yeah, that was the first thing that I should have anticipated, because I have actually played this boss about 3 times today and still clearly haven't learned what to do. It's got a really chunky kind of laser attack, hasn't it? Let's drop out a couple of, oh, sheesh kebabs. I'm not going to last very long. It's just all about reading the tells in terms of what means which attack is coming, because I just can't tell what's going to happen next. Oh, tits McGee. Well, there you go. This is Soukyugurentai. It's fantastic. Pick it up if you can find it, though it's not particularly cheap. But then again, what is on the Saturn these days? Take care, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.